podcast.
Are you telling me that you built a time machine? Out of a
Podcast.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and
Podcast.
and I'm all out of bubblegum.
All right, in 3, 2, 1. Welcome to Get to the Podcast. Actually, that didn't work out very well.
Wow.
No, that was
you
good.
know when you whisper into a microphone that's an audio-only recording, like, it's going to be a problem for people.
But think if they're driving, suddenly they hear and you're familiar with that sound, and it's coming from your car.
Uh-huh.
That might freak somebody out.
Okay.
It's true.
Welcome, everyone, to Get to the Podcast. My name
Good
is...
story, Diego.
Hey, I just wanted to get started with some realism or something. I don't know.
I don't know.
All right, let me do my intro.
Okay.
Welcome to Get to the Podcast. That's Get to the Podcast, spelled with the number 2. I'm Diego D'Souza.
I'm Nick Gambino.
And I'm Neil Carson.
All right, now we go back to it.
I don't know what the hell you were doing.
I was just trying to make...
Oh,
What?
you don't know what that is? Oh.
Think about it, Nick.
This is
thing?
embarrassing for you.
This is very embarrassing. 'Cause he
It sound-
sided there.
Is it the thing?
This is Friday the 13th. It's literally the theme from every movie. It's like,
Oh, okay. Well, if you did Halloween, I would catch on to that a lot quicker.
So why are we doing these sound
So
effects?
do Halloween real quick.
I don't remember. I can play
Oh, dude, scariest theme music of all time.
wow. John Carpenter wrote
John
that.
he wrote
Carpenter.
that. It's the
He
scary.
did?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
It's the scariest theme music of all
He
time.
actually wrote a lot of the music for a lot of his
Yeah, he's
films,
great. He's like
actually.
Robert
He's a
Rodriguez
good
in that
musician,
way.
Yeah.
That is
Yeah.
one of
So-
the only songs that I know on keyboard, because you could use just one hand.
Yeah. But okay, so the reason we're doing that is because today we're doing another Versus episode. We're doing a face-off again, and this time in honor of October 31st, Halloween. We're going to be doing
All Hallows
two
Eve?
great All Hallows Eve. We're going to be doing a versus between two master horror directors. Horror, not horror directors. Horror.
Not directors.
horror.
Are
Not
we doing
horror.
horror directors?
No.
Horror directors.
Horror.
John Carpenter.
Horror.
John Carpenter versus Wes Craven.
What?
Okay.
Yeah. Two
Now,
legends. Two
yes,
legends.
At
Two
first,
legends,
you
yeah,
might
very
go,
much.
"Oh, that's a strange versus," but you think about it. When we start going through their filmography, you start to go, "Oh, there's actually comparable." They both they've been in horror films, and they've done some offbeat films as well.
Yeah.
and they've kind of even gone into the comedy horror
Yeah.
a little bit. Both of them have jumped between these different things in similar ways.
Yeah.
I still don't have a side. I still don't know.
Good, because I have one,
Yeah, obviously.
and Neil has one.
Well,
Because he remembered.
First off, you're a piece of shit.
I start having. Oh well, dude, it's so hard.
Exactly.
Damn it.
Okay, listen.
John Carpenter-
You've sided with somebody and you've picked that one, so you have to stick with it.
I lean. All right. I just let me make this clear. I love both of these directors, and I love both of the their plethora of films is
Or
incredible.
plethora. Or plethora.
Plethora.
Plethora. Sounds like clitora. Okay, go ahead.
Oh my gosh.
I love their urethra of films.
There you go.
But it's interesting. Like John Carpenter, writes and directs a lot of his stuff, and he's also done adaptations of other earlier films and stuff like that have been fantastic. But it's so hard. Like I don't know. You have Nightmare on Elm Street, which is 7 films by Wes Craven, and then John Carpenter. You have Halloween, which is what 9, 10. How many films have they made?
They're
I mean,
making
John
another
Carpenter
one.
is direct
Halloween,
all of them.
so many.
They're working on another one also.
Of course they are. Like because it's like.
And they're-
I feel like they should bring.
And
Oh, they did
they're
do
bringing
blessed.
her back. They
John
are-
Carpenter blessed. Yeah, they're bringing Jamie Lee Curtis back. Okay, let's just get into the argument first. Then we'll get into all that. Okay, you've got Wes Craven,
I will.
and
Sure.
the rest in peace, Wes Craven, the late.
Yeah.
but he was fantastic.
He was awesome.
You're taking Wes Craven. I'm taking John Carpenter because I'm smarter.
You are.
Wow.
I basically
It's true,
shotgun. I
actually.
basically called
Yeah.
shotgun
But-
on John Carpenter.
Dude.
I'm not taking any sides.
I don't know,
All right.
man. I mean, dude, first film Wes Craven directed, The Last
Last
House
House
on
on
the
the
Left,
House on the Left.
which is insane. Like, if
So
you
I don't
watch
really
that
remember
movie,
this movie.
Oh my god,
I don't really
It's-
remember it.
It is like one of the most gritty. He also wrote the film, actually. It's one of the most gritty, like upsetting movies you've ever seen about just like mankind being horrible to mankind. You know what I mean? It's like people being pieces of garbage. Like, it's not like Nightmare on Elm Street where it's like kind of this, fantastical element where guys killing you in your dreams and it's, like kind of ghosts and stuff like that. Like, this movie is just about horrible people committing horrible acts.
Right.
And like, this kind of like, it goes through this whole, I don't want to like spoil a lot of it, but.
Well, here's the thing about that movie too. Historically, he had to pull a lot of scenes out.
Oh, I'm sure he did. It's already a tough movie.
By the rating committee,
Yeah.
it kept getting an X rating.
Yeah. Oh, it's a brutal
That's
movie.
how
That
bad
was
it
that
was.
time. That was that time period where things
It
were
was-
like Midnight Cowboy were getting X ratings
Yeah.
very easily if it was just a little bit too gratuitous.
So, and
Yeah.
the only way he got it through as a rated R was because he had a friend on the committee.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
I feel like that's a lot of how Hollywood works.
Yeah, but he had to pull out a lot of scenes from that. So,
Yeah.
Right. Okay, but so that was Wes Craven's first film. But if you look at John Carpenter, right? John Carpenter. The thing I love about John Carpenter is that he's very. I don't know if the word offbeat is proper, but like his movies are very different. Like
He
they're
has his
very,
own, yeah.
He has his own style. He does films, and you're like, that's weird. Okay, I'm not gonna. There's one specific one I was gonna talk about, but let's just back up to his early career. Right? He
Yeah.
did Assault on Precinct 13, the original one.
Yeah.
They had a
Which is
remake.
good.
It's
It's a-
great.
it's a great movie.
It's gritty. It's violent. It's a great movie, right?
Yeah.
But then he soon afterwards followed up with the greatest, in my opinion, the greatest horror film of all time. This is the movie I love. Like I watched this a million times as a
Which
kid.
is the movie was shot for like what
$2.
$100,000
It's like
or
$2.
something. Like it was like nothing.
Yes,
Yeah. They had to recycle leaves
Yes.
on this movie. Like,
That's right.
Collect them at the end of the day.
Hey,
and put 'em
where
in
you
bags.
going with
All
that
the-
leaf
all
right
the-
there? You bring that
So
back.
this is Halloween, right? Michael
Yes.
Myers. And
Yes.
Jamie Lee Curtis was like 18 when she made
Yeah.
this movie, 18, 19. The cars, and there's a lot of things. The cars had
Well-
like LA license plate, even though it was supposed
Little
to be in
side
Chicago.
note: the Halloween mask is actually William Shatner.
William Shatner, that's right.
William Shatner's face is literally
Whoever
the face
created
of
that,
evil.
Yeah, whoever created that mask fucked up because that looks nothing like William Shatner.
It sure doesn't.
It sure doesn't.
It sure doesn't.
But
Yeah.
so this film, I love the stripped down nature of this film. It's
Yeah.
not like Friday the 13th was great. The sequels got weird. So did Halloween. But like this original film is very simple. It starts off with this little boy. It's like a POV shot of this little
even
boy.
that shot was like unheard of at the time.
Yeah.
Like that was a super dark opening.
Yeah,
for
you're
a
looking
film.
from the eyes of a little kid, and he's walking through the house.
Well, you don't
He's
know
walking
that
through
at
the-
first.
You don't, but it's a little bit lower on the ground, so you get the idea that's
Yeah,
a
but-
child.
I
Okay,
don't
fine.
know.
For my eyes,
I didn't. When I first time I saw it, I was like, I knew it was
You're
something
not
small,
even
but-
positive it's POV in the beginning because it's just
No,
a shot
you-
going,
you
and then
don't
but
acknowledge
eventually
what's going on
until
for a
the
little bit.
sister until he opens the door and the sister's like brushing her hair. She's like an older sister,
Yeah.
and then she looks and she goes, Michael. I think she says his name right, Michael.
Yeah.
What are you doing? What are you doing with that knife? It's this crazy scene, and then he starts stabbing her. It's like psycho. He starts and he kills her.
And then he
right?
looks in the mirror.
And then he looks in the mirror, and then he walks outside.
And you see that it's this like
Little boy in a Halloween
7-year-old
costume,
kid or
like
something
a clown
like that.
costume or something, right?
Yeah.
And then he walks outside.
Oh, he
There's
had, like, a
cops
mask
everywhere.
on.
Yeah, and there's cops everywhere. They pull off his mask, and he's just standing there, dead-eyed, staring
At the police.
Yeah.
into space, just staring like he's just gone. He's devoid of soul. He's out to fucking lunch.
Yeah.
And then it jumps to like 20 years later or whatever, or 15 years later, whatever it is, and this guy breaks out of a mental institution, and he's gone
Right.
back to the same town in Illinois.
Yeah.
And he's basically targeting these high school kids, and you don't
Well,
know until
he's looking for someone specific.
you don't know that really though.
That's true.
That's the thing. You don't really know why. Like it could just be like, oh, it's that he's just targeting people at Camp Crystal Lake, like Friday the 13th movies or whatever.
I thought
just
they showed
because.
the first shot of Jamie Lee Curtis at that point when they went to the high school.
They do show
They-
Jamie Lee
they
Curtis.
do.
So
Yeah,
I
they
think
introduce
you
her.
kind of get a
No, but you
perspective
don't
of
know
who's the
what
other-
he's doing. Like
Was
there's no.
that her first movie?
It may have been her first movie, but you don't really know what's going on until the second movie. The first two movies are like the quintessential Halloween movies. They could be looked at as one movie. They all take
It
place.
is
in the
basically
same-
one movie.
Yeah, like the second one takes place the same night. It's a few minutes after the end of the first film is where it picks up.
Which is so awesome.
Yeah, exactly.
Because it ends on a cliffhanger, and then the second film, which came out 2 years later or something like that.
whatever. Yeah.
It's literally that night.
Her
and
first
then
film
it
is
ends
Halloween.
That night.
Oh yeah. Okay. Good. Her first film was Halloween. She's
Yeah.
great in it.
Scream
But yeah,
Queen, man.
that's right. But the Halloween 2 wasn't done by John Carpenter, but I mean he set up that
Yeah.
film. The first film, he did the music for it, which is great music. This figure was not even called Michael Myers in the movie. He was referred to as the Shadow or the no, what was it? The Figure.
Yeah.
The Figure, right? That's what he was titled as in the credits. And he was the main guy.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, no, if you look at the, let's see, I think it was The Figure. Shit, they don't say in IMDb. Damn it. Anyways, yeah, he was credited as like The Figure or something like that.
Yeah.
And
he doesn't talk.
he never talks.
Yeah.
You don't know what's going on. He never runs. He's
No.
not fast particularly.
Oh, he's fast, but he never runs.
Yes, exactly. But there's like that adds to the creepiness of it.
You know what
And
made
the
him so creepy to me?
The beats and the pacing of the movie, I think, are fantastic. Like that scene where she is in the closet and he opens the closet door and she sticks the fucking coat hanger in his eye. She pulls off his mask, sticks it in his eye, pulls the mask back on. She thinks she kills him. She goes by the door. I'm like, keep going, bitch. What are you doing? You're just sitting there. And then you just see her, and then you see behind her, he slowly raises up, and he looks at her, and he starts coming at her, and she still doesn't notice him. I love the pacing of this movie. I love the creepiness of it, the music, that little simple note just being played. It's
Dr. Loomis.
Do you know what made him
Loomis.
so creepy for me?
Yeah.
Is when he just did that slow head tilt.
Yeah, we're like.
No, I'm talking about when he just tilted it like this.
Oh,
He took it to the side, like
yeah,
cocked
yeah.
his
Side,
head, cocked
like
his head.
and he's
Yeah.
looking at someone. You're like, yo, he's contemplating.
Yeah.
And you're like, what the fuck is this killer contemplating? It's crazy because
Yeah.
he doesn't say anything.
You really never
That-
see his face
and
more
it's
than
all
like
in
for a half a
motion,
second.
Yeah,
Yeah.
He's communicating all through his body motion, but it is ready. It's like a lion or something, like some sort of terrifying animal that you'd run into, and they're just like looking at you with
Yeah.
like intent to eat or something
Like you hear
that.
the person. Like I remember there was a scene. I don't know if it was the first one, and I think they did this throughout a couple times where the person is begging him not to kill them, and he tilts his head like he's like trying to understand, or he's like, why are you begging? I don't know. I was like, oh my gosh, this is like fucking
He just
creepy as
doesn't
hell.
understand.
And then he
Right.
just
He
kills
doesn't
them. It's
understand.
crazy.
Yeah.
And Dr. Loomis is from the psychiatric hospital that he broke out of, is
Yeah.
trying to track him down throughout
What's
this
the
movie.
actor's name? I completely
Oh,
forgot.
I don't remember his name.
He was great because
Donald
he was
Pleasance. Wasn't that
Donald
Donald Pleasance?
Pleasance. Yeah, he's a recurring character.
That's right. And
throughout the
but
films,
yeah, he describes it at one point as just being pure evil. Like,
Yeah.
and that's why it's like impossible to fucking kill this guy. Like, he's the embodiment of evil.
Right.
He's gone. There is no reasoning with the person. He doesn't seem to have any emotional response to anything that's going on.
And
He's just murdering for the sake of murdering, and like there is no reason why particularly. Except for in the second movie, you find out more. I mean, fuck it, we'll spoil it.
They
I don't
just
give a
flesh
shit.
it. I mean, they flesh it out.
You
Yes.
basically find
Are
out.
you- are you gonna-
Yeah, I'm gonna
okay.
spoil. I'm gonna
All right,
spoil
cool.
this one a little bit. In the second movie, because it's sort of like knowing that Luke Skywalker and Darth Vader are related. Jamie Lee
They
Curtis.
are?
What? No, the second movie, you find out that she's his brother. Like he's trying to kill his sister. Yeah. She's his sister. He's her brother.
Yeah.
He's trying to kill the last of his family.
Yep.
Which is her. It's fucking crazy.
Yeah.
It's fucking crazy. But you don't know that, and she had blanked out going to the hospital when he was young. In the second one, you see a flashback where she goes into the mental hospital to see him, to visit him, and she's like, Michael, and he's just sitting there staring into nothingness.
And it all goes
As a
back to
little
that
boy.
very first scene
Yeah.
where you POV'd.
Right.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
But like John Carpenter wrote and directed this film. This was
Yeah.
like his first film,
Yeah,
right?
he did
Yeah.
Dark Star before that,
Okay.
and he'd written some other things, done a couple short films, but this was his first real claim to fame.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is what kind of put the spotlight on
That's
him.
right, and he did
Yeah.
the music for it.
Yeah.
So this is just, you know, I won when we've literally spent all this time just talking about one movie of John Carpenter. All
Well,
right,
so anyway, I was literally working on.
Your
I
work-
wanted to let you finish.
Oh, okay.
But so, a lot of people may. I mean, Wes Craven has Nightmare on Elm Street. He has a lot of other films that he's, The Hills Have Eyes, which had several, remakes done.
real
Sequels.
quick. It's not The Figure; it was The Shape. That's how he's credited. As Michael Myers is credited as simply The Shape.
And then the name Michael Myers came later.
Yeah, I mean they may have referred to him as Michael Myers in the film or whatever, but the credits call him The Shape.
They only
Okay.
used, I think
Yeah.
they used Michael Myers in the second one. I don't know if it was used on the first one because I don't think at the end they recognized who he was.
Right.
Still.
Right.
So
Go ahead.
So, I'm sure a lot of people know this, but Wes Craven directed a little-known film called Scream.
Oh, little known. Yeah.
Little-known
Okay.
film, which is a very, very,
So
very
you're jumping way ahead. You're
interesting-
jumping about 20 years.
Well, the only reason I
You're
bring it
jumping
up
Nightmare on Elm Street
is because it kind of, in a weird way, ties a little bit into and plays, pays homage to
homage
to like the older, to Halloween.
slasher
Actually
flicks.
does. Yeah,
Just
you're
the
right.
slash flicks,
Slasher
the old film.
flicks.
Like a lot of the characters throughout that film take names from
Yeah.
when Kevin Williamson wrote the screenplay.
Yes.
he like referenced so many films.
Yeah, Friday the
like
13th,
Psycho.
Halloween.
Yeah,
Psycho.
like Friday 13th.
Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yeah, and Halloween.
Yeah.
Billy Loomis.
Yes.
The killer of Scream is
Yeah.
named after
Spoiler
Dr.
alert.
Loomis. I
Right.
don't know if you didn't know. Anyway, it's just that to me, I love that aspect
Yeah.
of Scream, and Scream was one of those films. The reason I picked Wes Craven is because the reason I got into horror films in the first place, and had like an interest. I didn't really have an interest
Yeah.
in them because I just thought they were scary.
Right.
But I watched Scream, and it like changed my whole
Yeah.
view of that entire genre.
Right.
Like I could enjoy the film from like a different perspective. Like instead of being like I don't know what it did for, but it like maybe it was
You
like
became
the humor.
a fan. You became a fan.
Yeah, I love that movie so
Yes.
much that it created this interest in watching all the films that it referenced.
Yes.
When I found out that like all these characters were, like I went and watched all the Halloween films. I went and watched Friday the 13th films. I went and watched, the Nightmare on Elm Street films
Yeah.
because of Wes Craven. I watched all of Wes Craven's films. Like I love that movie so much that I went back.
Yes.
You started to dig up all these old
Absolutely.
films.
I'm the same fucking way.
At Blockbuster.
Yeah,
If some of you
Blockbuster.
remember
So
Blockbuster.
You know what I
or
didn't know?
Hollywood Video.
Talking about Scream is I didn't know that Wes had a cameo in it.
Oh,
And
he was the janitor or
Yeah,
something like that?
and
yeah.
he wore the
Freddy
sweat,
Krueger.
Freddy Krueger
Yeah,
sweater.
he looks
That's
like
right.
Freddy
Yeah,
Krueger.
yeah, yeah,
Crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, but what's crazy is that movie, Scream, you're right. That actually happened with me, too. The reason why I got into horror films. I had seen A Nightmare on Elm Street before. I'd seen movies here and there. But Scream came out, and it changed the game for me. I was like 10 years old.
And, they verbally
saw it in
acknowledged
theaters,
the
in Times
tropes.
Square.
You know what I mean? Like there's certain rules that one must follow to survive a horror movie. Like all of those tropes come from
Yes.
John Carpenter and Wes Craven.
And the movie really did speak to movie fans. If you're a movie fan,
It did.
the movie was about movie fans in an actual horror movie.
Yeah.
That was kind of the idea. So, like Randy, whatever his name is, that kid. He gets
Yeah,
killed.
Randy.
Yeah, Randy. He
Yeah.
was like a big movie fan, so you kind of got like you identified
Oh,
with
and
him
he
if
did
you're a
the
movie
rules,
fan.
right?
Yeah, he did
Yeah,
the
he
rules.
did
He was the
one,
one
yeah.
kind of describing. Anyways, but that movie
they're
did that same
watching
thing to me
Halloween in
the
Scream
movie, yeah.
when the scene there's like the whole
So,
scene at the end.
I actually
Very
can.
true, yeah,
I
yeah.
will credit Scream with helping me find Halloween.
Yeah.
That is what happened.
Same
I
thing
watched
with
Scream.
me.
I fell in love with the movie.
Yeah.
It came out on VHS. I bought the VHS and I watched that fucking movie over and over to the point where I can quote it. To the point where a year later I wrote Scream 2. I was 11 years old and I
This guy
wrote.
chose John Carpenter.
Are you saying that
Okay.
Wes
I
Craven
love
took
John
you to
Carpenter.
John Carpenter?
Yeah, yes, he did. But
Are
well,
you
no.
He's really. Is he saying that Wes Craven took
No.
him to
He
John
said
Carpenter?
He's
No,
saying
because
we're
I knew
right.
Big
Are we
Trouble in Little China before that. I knew They Lived before that. But it did help
Did
me
you
find
know
Halloween.
John Carpenter?
Yeah, sure. But it was
Yeah, sure.
But it was Halloween that it helped me find. But no. The thing about it was Scream. I literally wrote Scream 2 before Scream 2 ever came out. I wrote
Yeah.
a script for Scream 2, which just basically plagiarized the shit out of the first movie. But I was 11. I just found it recently. I fucking found this thing, this typed up little thing when I was 11 years old. I'm like, this is terrible formatting. What the fuck were you thinking, 11-year-old Nick? But I love Scream so much that I did that, and then I went and found other horror films, and I got way more into them. And then I found Halloween and Halloween 2, and that was it. I watched those movies so fucking much. I love those two films.
Yeah.
And I like them even more than Scream. I love Scream, but Halloween and Halloween 2, for some reason, clicked. I was like, this is like perfect because it's not being funny. It's not being, Scream can get a little hokey. It's good, but it can get a little hokey because it's kind of
It was college horror.
No, it's college, and it's also just bringing attention to the movie tropes. It's kind of
But
this.
it was like the
It's
complete
great,
opposite
purposefully.
of those horror
I'm just
films
saying,
because
yeah.
like Jason Voorhees doesn't say anything, Michael Myers
Yeah.
doesn't say anything, like Freddy Krueger won't shut the hell
Yeah.
up, but like in the Killer and Scream just
Yeah.
will not shut the fuck.
I know,
Like
and
in
it-
the
and it
first
twist-
film
the twist is
specifically,
great.
they're
No,
calling
only on
you
the
and then
end.
Dude,
taunting
no,
you,
I
taunting
love
you
it.
with
I'm
the
not
different
saying
voices and
No,
stuff.
I'm not shitting on the film at all. I'm just saying
Yeah.
Halloween has it's not playing around even a little bit.
No.
Scream, they're playing around the whole movie.
Oh,
Even-
you
even
don't
at
know
the
what's
end-
going on. You're like,
even at
who's the killer?
end-
I don't know.
Even at the end when it's like you find out who they are, and Stu, and he's just being weird. I'm losing a lot of blood, man. Like
Yeah,
all
and you
that
think they're
shit.
dead, and then he's like, "This is the moment when the
killer
killer
comes
comes
back.
back to life for
Boom!
one last
Not-
scare."
yeah,
and
not in
then-
my movie.
Yeah, and then he wakes up, and you're like, "This is so good."
It's
I love it
great.
because it plays
I
on
fu-
everything you expect.
I love it. I love that movie.
Yeah.
But Halloween's not playing around at all. They're not
Right.
kidding around at all in the whole fucking movie. It is just straight up, and it feels very real and very close to home. It doesn't feel like, I don't know, there's something about it where Scream, it's like, oh, just fucking knock this guy, like do something. There's something scarier about.
Scream is a very. I mean, there are many the way Wes Craven shot it feels like a very visceral film. It's a very physical film.
It
like
really
the kids,
feels like an homage.
Yeah,
they're
Sydney's
faster.
running. She's like slamming, hitting dudes, like getting knocked out. Like they had a lot of
It's
stunt
quicker.
doubles and
It's a
stuff. It's a
quicker
very
film.
fast paced. Yeah,
And the
Michael
way they
Myers is
flow
not
with-
slow walk. Like the killer is chasing you with a knife as fast as he
You
can.
feel
and
like
how-
here's the thing about
You're running.
about Scream is because the cloaked gown and everything makes
Ghostface.
Ghostface. But like the gown, it makes him look like he's faster and like that kind of
Yeah.
thing. But at the same
And he only
time,
kills with a knife.
Yeah, but exactly. But at the same time, I feel like if you really were just to get past the costume, you could fuck this person up. They're
Well, that was
just
the
they
difference between
flail
both
around
films.
like a high school kid at a kegger. Like it's like.
But that's the difference between both films. In Halloween,
But Halloween, you feel like this guy's intimidating
Well,
to
that's
the
the
point where I'm
difference.
scared shitless of him.
you don't
Right.
see like a fight in Halloween. You see
Struggle.
him literally overwhelm
overwhelm
the
victim.
victim
Yeah.
and kill them.
Yes.
But in Scream, it's more. I mean, one, that this is a real person, not a evil entity type of
Yes,
deal.
right. That's what
it's
makes it
more
feel
of a real
different.
person. So, and you see more of a. I can literally maybe knock this guy out
Mm-hmm.
and run away and get safe.
Right. Yes.
But you see the determination of the killer in Scream, where in Halloween, it's really like a one-way battle. Like,
Yes.
it doesn't matter how much you struggle. This guy,
I feel
the
like
knife is still coming
I
towards
feel like
you
if you
and
really
just-
wanted to,
Yeah.
you could reason with Ghostface, and you will never reason with Michael Myers. I don't know why. It feels like there's no getting
Well,
through
Michael
to him.
Myers-
Explain to people who Ghostface is.
Ghostface is the main bad guy from Scream.
Well, there were two.
Yeah.
There's 4 Scream films.
I
There's
know,
two-
but
there's
I
two
mean, in the
killers
first
original
film,
one. That
which was
the
a
twist.
surprise too. That
Dude, it blew
not
my
just
mind.
that. The twist is like who the killer is, and the fact that there were 2 of them.
And then the
running
fact that
around
they gave it
whole time.
away early on, not really. You thought they gave it away. You thought Billy was the killer. And
Oh,
then
yeah.
they vindicate him,
Then he
basically.
gets
But he is
killed
still
by the
Then he
killer.
is killed by the killer, but he's still alive. We all go a
Yeah,
little
then like
mad.
5 minutes later, you're like, oh no, he's playing.
And then he's like,
These are all
we all
spoilers
go-
if you haven't seen this movie.
Yeah,
Just-
fuck it. We're spoiling.
Yeah.
We're spoiling today.
It came out in
Remember the- you remember the
1996.
rules.
so-
Trick or treat, bitches. Anyways,
You get one safety.
yeah.
So these films are amazing,
Yes.
but like
But,
I mean,
okay.
they've all directed so many
But
others.
let's talk about Wes Craven. He did Nightmare on Elm Street, which is a great film.
I
That
will-
first one's really good.
Well, before Nightmare on Elm Street, he did a film called The Hills Have Eyes.
Yep, the
which
the
was
original.
crazy
And the
film,
remake
and
he
he
did.
did a sequel to it, Hills Have Eyes 2.
And I just think of that as the movie with the guy from Weird Science.
The
That,
Hills Have
that
Eyes?
bald guy with the kind of slightly messed up face or
Oh, yeah.
whatever. Like he just looks
Yeah.
like a.
I mean, it was like
was
a
in a lot of
crazy
films,
movie
yeah.
at the time, and
Yeah.
he wrote and directed those films, and then he did his like the film that most people know him for, other than Scream, is Nightmare on Elm Street, which
Yes.
he only actually directed the first film
And
the
New
New
Night-
Nightmare, which was
The New Nightmare.
kind of like a pre-Scream before Scream.
Yes, it was 2 years before
New
Scream.
Nightmare is an interesting
Let's talk about
film.
New Nightmare for a second. 'Cause I
Super
like.
interesting
I love the
movie.
original Nightmare on Elm Street.
Oh yeah,
Out of all
Johnny
of them,
Depp's in that
Johnny
movie,
Depp
like
gets- if you ever
like
want to see Johnny
17-year-old Johnny Depp or
getting
whatever.
slaughtered,
Oh
I
my
really-
dude, that scene! Right
Yes.
into the ceiling.
through the
All
bed.
right.
Yeah. So I though that original film, the sequels to Nightmare on Elm Street got.
Oh, was he
fucking
in the
weird.
ceiling or he was in the bed?
No, he's in the bed. He's
In the bed, okay.
But Nightmare on Elm Street, the sequels got really weird. They seemed to like not really know what
they
they
were-
were doing.
they were
The
all over the
character was
place.
different. Like the dream, it was just like
They're
what is-
entertaining.
They took away from
but-
They're
They were
entertaining,
good,
but-
but they took away a lot.
You don't
lot
know
from
who,
the core of the film.
Yes, you don't even
So-
know what Freddy Krueger's powers. Like they just get weird, and then he ends up in the real world in a weird way. Though in the second, like it gets very confusing. He starts possessing people. It gets weird.
They did have the waterbed scene on the second one,
Yes,
and that was cool.
but the first one
There was Dream Masters was the third one.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
I felt like they were solid films. They did get I mean, it's a
They
weird
were
concept
fine.
in
They were
itself.
fine. But the
like-
first one was less chintzy than the later ones.
Which one
It was, less
it? The third
cheesy.
one where they had the basically the kids who were like X-Men in the nightmare. I was like, what the
Something-
fuck?
yeah.
they all had special.
Oh, they were like,
powers
yeah,
in
they
the
could
nightmare.
fight him or something.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah,
Dream
it started- it did
Warriors.
get-
Dream Warriors, I think
Dream
is what
Warriors,
it's called.
yeah.
So,
It was entertaining.
It was
but
entertaining.
Like, yeah, you kind
but
of.
so this new Nightmare,
Let's talk
super
about that.
interesting. They're filming a movie.
Yes.
It's like a breaking the fourth wall thing. Like Wes Craven is filming a Nightmare on Elm Street film with
Within
the
the movie.
original actress from the first film. I
Yep.
forget what her name is.
Nancy. She played Nancy.
Yeah.
Was it Nancy?
And she's married. She's got kids. She lives in Hollywood. She's an actress.
She knows Robert Englund, who
She
plays
knows Robert Englund,
Freddy
who
Krueger.
plays Freddy Krueger.
He
And
shows
then
up as
They're,
himself.
they're
He shows up-
friends. She calls him
Yeah,
for like
help.
suggestions, and they're like friends. He helps her.
Yeah.
Like when she doesn't know what to do with things. Yeah.
Oh, this movie like totally flipped the whole thing, the whole storyline on its head. Like it was such a surreal concept to try to film and put on screen, but it
Remember her
She-
son?
right. Yeah, so she starts to like Freddy starts to become like a real character and like harassing
In
her,
her life, yeah.
in her
Yes.
life, which is a weird thing because I feel like for that actress, I really should look.
Is it an
up that
homage
name.
to Psycho? Think about it, because the lady got really caught up on her scene,
Right.
and did she commit suicide?
In real life?
Yeah.
No.
Was it Psycho?
No, she's
No,
still
you're thinking about Janet Leigh? No, that's not right.
Oh,
you're
you're thinking of
of-
Shining.
No.
With what's her name? She went a little bad.
Shelley Duvall?
Shelley Duvall.
No, that's more recent though.
No.
No, she actually had like a breakdown.
Oh,
on
she did
the
have a
set.
breakdown, yeah, but she didn't kill herself. I don't know if it's an homage to that,
But
but
her name is Heather Langenkamp.
and she played Nancy.
She played Nancy.
Yeah, in the original film.
But this is her claim to fame. I mean, she doesn't really have that many other films other than
Right.
the Nightmare on Elm Street. When you see her, you think, oh, Nightmare on Elm Street.
Right.
But this film was like almost like played on the celebrity status that she got after that film became a hit.
Yes.
And in a weird way, like how this evil character, Freddy Krueger, it's like a weird meta film.
I
or
love it.
something. It's so surreal.
Something about it I really enjoy. I remember seeing it when it came out, and I was like, this is fucking weird.
It's
But
different.
It's
so different.
It got creepy. Like, it's literally like he was like, oh, let's take a movie and let's bring it even closer to reality. Let's
Right.
actually make it about the actors in real life getting attacked by Freddy Krueger. And that was bananas. Like, Robert Englund plays himself, but he also plays Freddy in the film.
Right.
Like, it gets really weird. And Freddy is like a new version of Freddy. It's not just old, silly, red and black sweater Freddy with the hat.
Yeah.
Right? Like, they like made him crazier and more I don't know. He looked different.
Yeah.
Right? And I love that one. I thought New Nightmare was great. But let's just hop back to John Carpenter for a second, okay? Because in the 80s, let's list off some of his films.
Okay.
Escape from New York, The Thing, Christine, Starman with Jeff Bridges.
I
Karen
know.
Allen, Big Trouble in Little China.
It's hard.
Can we stop for a second to talk about Big Trouble in Little China?
Dude.
One of the weirdest movies ever made, but also fantastic.
The
So
greatest
good.
movie ever made.
Kim
yeah.
Cattrall.
Kim Cattrall, Kurt Russell,
yeah.
was it James Wong? I love that fucking movie. Big Trouble in Little China is so weird. It literally Raiden from Mortal Kombat was based off of those electric guys, those guys that come out with those big straw hats and the electricity flying through the alleyways and the two different Chinese gangs about to fight. It's a bananas movie.
The movie literally starts with Kurt Russell and like an 18-wheeler, like
Driving
like
into
in the
this,
rain, driving down the highway, talking on the CB
CB
radio.
radio.
And it's just like, what the
It's
hell
so
is
weird, and he's
He's so
hilarious.
fucking
He drives
cocky.
that truck
He's
all
so
the time.
so fucking cocky.
He's a bumbling, cocky idiot in a way,
He
but
is an
but he
idiot.
saves the day.
Wait,
He
wasn't
does.
on the radio? Wasn't he like having like a storytelling? thing
Yeah,
or
he's like a
something that?
conversation like with you don't even know who he's talking to. He's almost
He's just
narrating
like-
the film. Through
he's
the
narrating
He's one of
CB.
these
something,
he's like
yeah.
a free spirit, man.
Yeah.
He's just like riding through town, shit hits the fan, and he's
Jack-
like gets caught up in it and then saves the day and then just leaves just as abruptly as he arrived.
Yeah.
Like it's so
Jack
surreal.
Burton. Even the
Jack
end of the
Burton.
film,
Yep.
like it's just
It's a surreal film, but it's fun.
It
It's like one
is.
of those like super fun.
Yeah, it was very entertaining.
the plot says an all-American trucker gets dragged into a centuries-old mystical battle in Chinatown. What the fuck is going on?
I have no idea.
It's amazing, but it's just out.
It's
It's,
like-
it's leapt from the mind of fucking John Carpenter.
But
you know?
it's like a farmer getting caught into
An
some like
all-
intergalactic
did it say an
battle. You're like,
all-American?
what?
An all-American.
an all-American trucker because he is Jack Burton. He's like your
He really
all-American.
is. He's in like overalls.
He's got
and, like,
cowboy
like the
boots
white-
and like the
white
the
beater or
tight-
whatever.
tank top.
Tank
And,
top, yeah.
Yeah, an all-American trucker gets dragged into a centuries-old mystical battle in Chinatown.
That's
I love
the
it.
summary, and that was
amazing.
the pitch to the
Yes.
film. Yeah.
It's
awesome.
amazing. It really is.
It's one of the. I feel like the '80s was like a certain like time period where like films got made that like never would get made today.
No.
Yeah.
I feel
Like,
like we're
it's
coming back
just
to the
like-
point where you can make a film like that.
Maybe,
and just,
yeah.
But you have to be really crazy about it and do a lot of tongue-in-cheek stuff to
Yeah.
get away with it.
Yeah.
You couldn't try to make it seriously.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing. Like half of these films, I don't know if they were intended to be.
But that
serious,
movie
if
is
that was
very
just
like
a-
almost done in earnest. Like there's comedy in it, but it doesn't. It's not really tongue in cheek. They're not really trying to be like, "Hey, isn't this funny how we're doing this?" It's sort of
Right.
like just like a straight up story.
Right.
But today you'd have to be like, "All right, we're just fucking around, but isn't it funny? Like look at all these '80s
Well,
things we're bringing back, retro
yeah.
shit." And
I
It's
think
like
it
an
was a
homage.
little bit like getting there.
yeah, it's
Especially how Kurt Russell acted.
Oh,
You
yeah.
know, he, and the
Well, look at-
characters in it were. It was like it was teetering on that line, but
Yeah.
you accepted because the movie was so incredibly done.
right.
Yeah.
So okay, good. So he had Escape from New York, which I love, also with Kurt Russell. The Thing,
Yeah.
also with Kurt Russell. He had Christine, which is Stephen King. Yeah, he had Star.
That's my favorite film.
I know.
Not my
Starman.
We need to talk about
Starman
The
was.
Thing.
I know.
Oh my
If you want to talk about The Thing, go ahead. Make my argument for me. Talk
Wait,
about The Thing.
when was the last time you seen it?
It's been years,
I
but
haven't.
I know
Okay.
I love.
I've watched that movie like 150
I know.
times.
I haven't
I've
seen
watched
that
it so many
movie
times.
in maybe close to 20 years.
And they did a remake, or
Yep.
they did a remake that came out
Yeah,
not
a few
too
years
long
ago.
ago, which I thought was okay. But I'm still like, to me, the original is still, which is funny because the John Carpenter Thing film is a remake
Yes.
of The Thing from Another World, which
Correct.
came out like 1950,
Right.
something like that.
Even the newest Hateful Eight had elements of The Thing in it. That's what
Yeah.
Quentin Tarantino said. It was kind of inspired
Yeah,
parts
God,
of the film.
What's his name? Who did the music? He's like 100 years old.
It's like Italian guy, right? Or
Yeah,
Fin-
I totally forgot his name.
not Fellini. I'll tell you in 1 second. Ennio Morricone.
Ennio
Morricone,
Marconi or
yeah.
something like that.
Yeah.
A fantastic film. I mean, the film is like such a slow burn.
Yeah.
But it has these. It feels like it kind of tricks you in a way where you feel like this is a slow burn film where you're like, oh, okay, things are happening. It's very slow. You're like, wait, what's going on? The film starts out odd where there's this helicopter chasing a husky or something like across the Antarctic like snowfields or something. It ends up at this like American outpost. They're shooting at the dog, but the people at the outpost think that these like Norwegians are shooting at them. It's Norwegians in a helicopter.
Yeah.
And so they shoot back. One of the Americans shoots back, like the head boss guy, and then something happens and they throw a grenade and it blows up the helicopter and they all die, but the dog survives.
Right.
And you're like, that was weird and confusing. Like you're like, that doesn't make any sense. If you have no idea what you're getting into when you watch this movie, it's very like, what? And then it just slowly gets crazier. Like things start to happen. It's one of these movies where you watch the whole film and you kind of have to go back to rewatch just to catch all these little hints at the beginning that you just gloss over. You don't think mean anything. And basically the dog is this creature. It's like a replica basically of another dog, but it's actually this alien creature that anything it touches, it can then replicate rapidly.
Right. No,
This is not a long process. This isn't like, God, what was that old movie? The Invaders?
Yeah.
No, Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
They had to make a cocoon and all
Yeah,
that
it's a whole
bullshit.
thing.
No, this thing
They're
literally
learning how
touches you,
to
and like minutes
shape
later, there's another you.
Right.
And it's like sentient.
Right.
You know?
Well, I think how it was it was learning how to
adapt and evolve.
adapt and grow into like a human being, like take the next shape, and that's why you saw a lot of like some of the worst like
oh my God,
creatures you've
whoever
ever
did
seen.
the makeup
was
effects
just-
in that
it was
film just
incredible.
like killed it
Yeah.
because it's horrifying.
Yeah.
Still today now, it's like some of the most disturbing like prosthetic work you've ever seen,
you've
like
ever seen,
like mechanical whatever. There's like weird human, dog, rat, snake creature things, and like
because
it's
you got
just-
someone like some of them were confusing, and
Yeah.
you see like different shapes of people and
oh yeah,
things
different
that it
people's
tried
faces trying to
Yeah,
like
exactly.
climb out of it, and it's like it's just like it's literally the stuff of nightmares. But you find out later that the Norwegians had essentially discovered a giant alien spacecraft that had been buried under
and that's
the ice
the new
for like
one.
thousands
That was
of
the new
100,000
one.
years.
That was the new one. It
no,
wasn't
that's
a
in the original.
Well, the new one wasn't a remake. It was a prequel. And
was it?
Yeah, it was a prequel, and then it ended with the dog, the husky, getting away, and that's how it goes into the first one that came out.
So
Yeah.
So that's John Carpenter. Thank you.
I mean,
guys.
that's why it's so hard for me to choose between these two, because I love Scream, but I also love The Thing,
Right.
and I love Starman,
And-
I love,
and here's the next one.
and I love Nightmare on Elm
They
Street.
Live.
It's too hard to have.
Let
Like,
me say something.
but they are comparable.
Yes,
they are
but
comparable.
here's the thing. You had They Live. That was the next one.
I know.
After that, They Live. Now
I
this
love
movie,
that movie.
this movie should be retarded. Like it should not be good. But it's really,
Well,
it's
I
not.
mean-
It's not like.
Dude, it's got
It's
got Roddy
ridiculous.
Piper. It's got
Yes.
Roddy Piper.
Okay,
my friend.
we literally love this movie so much. It's in our intro for this podcast,
It's
right?
in our intro.
So the line, "I've come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass, and I'm all out of bubblegum," and we
Yeah.
change it to bubblegum and podcast,
Yeah.
and I'm all out of bubblegum. Like, I love this movie. Like, it's the idea that the aliens are all already amongst us.
Dude, Keith David.
Yeah, Keith David's
Meg
in
Foster?
it, Roddy Piper, Meg Foster from Masters of the Universe.
Dude.
That film, I love it. Like this idea. First off, it's like a Jack Burton type character. Not that he's the same, but it's like this all American kind of guy again, getting into this weird situation with these out of this world forces, right? It's like the idea that the aliens are already amongst us, and there's a certain rebellion that's like found this out, and you wear these certain sunglasses to see who the aliens are as opposed to the humans.
Yeah.
And the different billboards you can see what the real message are, where it says obey, and magazine articles say obey.
That whole aspect, that's actually what
Subliminal
caught my
messaging.
attention in that particular film because it's like an invasion, like the invasion has already happened, like
Yes.
they're already there, but
They
like,
already
this
are
whole,
controlling
Yeah.
us.
Yeah, but then when he puts on the glasses, you look around, literally every piece of advertising, every billboard, anything
totally
where there's
different.
any bananas, apples, like the New York Times, like all of it is like these hidden subliminal messages behind every message or every piece of advertising. And I thought that was such an interesting concept that they had in that film, and the way they show it, like he is looking around New York City, and it's just like everywhere is, and, it's like little fucking like drones and shit, like alien drones that he can see with the glasses on, like flying over the city. But like when you take them off, it's like there's nothing
Was
going
that
on.
New York?
Everything's fine.
That was like LA or something.
It may have been LA actually. Yeah.
Yeah, but no, it's bananas.
Yeah.
It
It's
really is
interesting
bananas.
concept, yeah.
Again, another weird film like Big Trouble in Little China. That
Very
just
original.
worked. Yeah, very original,
Yeah.
but this totally
Still
worked.
today, very original. Yeah.
Yeah. So that we have that,
It's a
and then
very realistic story.
yeah, then he did. In the '90s, he did some movies that were like okay. I don't think they were as good. Like In the Mouth of Madness with Sam Neill. He did Village of the Damned. With
I liked
Chris-
In the Mouth of Madness.
It
I
was
thought
good. It was good. No, that was
that was
better.
based off oh god, what's the name? H.P. Lovecraft. An H.P. Lovecraft story. It's like
Okay.
loosely based off of The Mountains of Madness
Okay.
by H.P. Lovecraft.
Yeah, and I thought that
If you
one
haven't
was
heard about H.P. Lovecraft, check him out.
Yeah, that was one of his better
fantastic
ones.
writer.
It was one of his better ones in the '90s because he also did Village of the Damned with Christopher Reeve. I think Kirstie Alley was in that. Escape from L.A., which is a sequel to Escape from New York, which was fine. It was a decent movie. It was okay.
Yeah.
He did Ghosts of Mars, so he got
The Ward was actually a pretty good movie. It was one of
Yeah.
the more. He did.
I
It's
didn't
been
see
like
that
7
one.
years, but it has Amber Heard is in it. Really like cool twist at the end, and it's like an interesting film, like new horror. But he also did this whole series called Masters of Horror, which was very interesting, where they got a bunch of different directors together to basically write and do these 60-minute shorts.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which is actually awesome. If you're into horror, like check out Masters of Horror. I think they did 2 seasons.
Okay.
Yeah.
But it was actually really, really cool. They got, like anyone that's ever done a horror movie, they got them, pulled them in
Into
to
it.
direct their own original piece. And then
Oh, that's awesome.
it's this collection of like these 60-minute horror films.
Right.
With a lot of like A-list, celebrities and stuff like that in it.
Right. So I think if you were to take John Carpenter's filmography and place it up against Wes Craven has some gems in there.
Yeah.
But I think John Carpenter has more. I think he has more consistent. And the thing is, if you look at that run in the '80s,
guy.
that run in
Well,
the
here's the
'80s,
thing.
that
This
run
guy.
in the '80s and the late
Here's the thing.
'70s was just like they were.
It
incredible.
did kind of like dwindle.
It did. And that tends to happen, unfortunately, as people get older. I don't know what it is exactly, but like he put in his dues, and
He did.
he earned his respect. And
I mean,
his
the
place.
last film Wes Craven directed was Scream 4, which I actually enjoyed.
It was good.
I enjoyed it.
The
I
whole
don't-
series was great.
I don't remember
Yeah.
that it was. I don't think it was received as well, but I saw that in theaters by myself.
I saw it in theaters
midnight.
too, yeah.
Midnight. I just went to a midnight showing by myself, and I was like, "This is solid."
It's solid.
Yeah, I
it
like
has
it.
humor.
It came
It
in-
has the like.
It has an
thrill.
additional
It
twist
came out
on
in
it.
competition with I know what you. I still know what you did last
Yeah,
summer. Yeah.
that's right. And no, Scream 4 didn't.
Not
Was
Scream
it?
4, the series. It came out.
Oh yeah, well that
Oh.
they started this
And
whole
it-
new
it shut down.
urban legend. It came out with
Well,
all these
yeah, the
new-
high school.
Yeah.
Yeah,
killer-
but
New
because
horror
Scream
film.
did so well,
Yes, that was the
after
original.
I Still Know What You Did last summer, I think it was the second one,
Yeah.
they stopped that production because Scream was doing so well.
Yes, but they jumped between Scream 3 and Scream 4. You had something like 13 years, 12 years or
Yeah.
something like that. But Scream 4, that intro, that way that movie starts,
Yeah.
I thought was really cool, where you sort of like think it's the movie, but then it's not. It's a movie. that
Yeah.
They're watching in the movie.
Well, they
And then
play
do it
with that
Oh,
throughout
yeah,
all
that's
of
right.
them.
But then they do it like No. The way
No.
yeah, they do that in the second one. Yes, they do that in the second one. But no, the way they do it in the beginning of the fourth one, where it's like 4 films in, like it's somebody watching a movie within a movie, somebody within a movie within
I have
a
to
movie.
watch it again. I don't
You don't
remember
remember that
this.
whole
No.
thing? It was like you keep thinking it's the movie you're watching, and somebody gets killed. You're like, oh, and then it pulls back, and somebody's just watching that movie, and then that person who's watching the movie gets killed or kills somebody, but then it pulls back, and that's a movie.
Right.
And then the same thing happens. This is like 4 times. You're like, what the fuck am I watching? What's the real movie here?
Yeah.
Yeah. I liked that. I just liked the twists in that movie. I liked the way it was filmed. It felt Scream 3 was kind of a problem. That was
I enjoyed Scream 3. I thought Scream 3 had a lot of humor. Like Parker Posey, I thought was hilarious.
Dude, anytime you put Jay and Silent Bob, if you drop Jay and Silent Bob, as
I
a
think
cameo,
they were shooting
playing themselves, Jay and Silent Bob in Scream 3.
It was weird.
Ridiculous.
It was a little weird, but I thought that I assumed that they were shooting Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back at the same time that Scream 3 was being filmed on that set, and they were just like, "Fuck it, we'll just have."
The thing I like
about Wes Craven is in Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back.
That's right, he is.
I think that they were shooting both the movies at the same time, and they just overlapped.
That's right.
They were like, "Let's do this."
The thing I liked about Scream 1, 2, and even 4 was that even though there was those elements of a little bit of cheese, not even that much, they were scary though. They literally had suspense, like thriller elements,
and
they
they're
had scary
disturbing
elements.
aspects.
Yeah, in Scream 3, because they broke it up with such weird stuff. By the time anything actually like crazy happened, it didn't feel scary. I don't know. It felt very like hokey, like it was a parody of the first two films. It almost like
it did. The movie started with them killing kind of a major character.
It almost felt like
it was
scary
Liev Schreiber's character.
It almost felt like scary
Cotton Weary.
Cotton Weary, yeah.
Yeah, but again, even that scene doesn't play out too scary.
Courtney Cox, of course.
Because he's not. Here's the thing: in the first two films, the people who get killed feel very much like victims. Cotton was just sort of like this big guy. I felt like he overcame him.
The fact that Scream starts with Drew Barrymore, who may have been at the time like probably the most well-known actress in that entire film.
Right.
Like it's the reason when you look at the cover of that poster,
she's on it.
The major.
She's gone in 10 minutes.
Yeah, she's literally like the biggest selling act. She was in E.T. She'd been in a bunch of films prior to Scream.
Right.
They literally kill her in the first 10 minutes of that movie.
It's a great scene too.
Which is like unheard of at the time. It's like, whoa, this is your headliner, and then you kill her like 10 minutes in, and it's the most brutal, terrifying.
It was in the poster too, right? She
was
in the poster, right?
Horrible,
right?
Like the whole scene where she like calls and her mother answers the phone and she's trying to talk to her mom, but she's getting stabbed. Like,
oh my god!
And then the mother's like right there, like 5 feet away from her, and the killer's dragging her away in the dark, and you're like
hung from the tree.
She's right there, like it's so heart wrenching. Like when you watch that movie,
but the second one. I thought that was cool, like how they started off where they're watching Stab, which is a movie.
Yeah, Jada Pinkett.
Jada Pinkett and
Omar Epps or something.
It was either Omar Epps or Mekhi Phifer. Maybe
it wasn't Mekhi Phifer.
His name was Omar Epps.
I think it was Omar Epps.
Yeah. So and they're watching Stab, and Stab is basically Scream. Like they made a movie about the events
and they make
of the
a
first
joke
one.
that what's her name? Tori Spelling was going to play her in the film.
Yeah.
And then Tori Spelling is in the movie Stab playing Sidney Prescott.
That's right. Or Casey. She was playing Casey, wasn't she?
No, she was playing Sidney Prescott.
Was she? Okay.
Yeah. I don't know who played Casey.
And then, but that was a crazy scene because everybody's dressed up like Ghostface, and everybody's going nuts and about this violence and going crazy. And he gets stabbed in the bathroom. He gets stabbed in the bathroom. Hold on. He gets
unusually obsessed with
this podcast has gone from verses to a straight out
discussion of these two because I love Wes Craven.
I know you do.
I do. I never said I didn't.
We won. Game over.
Game over.
Shit.
Thank you for coming. No, well, here's the thing.
What's behind door number 2?
You see how I tricked him, though?
Here's the thing. Wes Craven has more acclaimed productions, but
it's hard though.
I don't know that's true. Don't know that's true.
I looked it up.
What did you look up? Look at John Carpenter's IMDb. He's got way more films that you would say are classics.
I am looking up. I have like 3 pages open with Masters of Horror and everything. It says that Wes Craven has more acclaimed films.
You mean acclaimed horror films?
Productions.
Horror films.
Productions.
Horror films.
Okay, productions.
Horror films.
So
you mean John Carpenter or Wes Craven?
Wes Craven. Okay. But the question is
not true.
The question, of course, Nick says because Nick said the
because
question
I say
is,
I'm an authority.
I'm an authority.
The question, yeah. There's 2 people right now laughing at Nick. No, but the question is, if John Carpenter didn't create Halloween, would there have been a Freddy Krueger and Ghostface?
That's right. And would there be a Scream? I don't know because Halloween.
See, this guy jumps in and just cuts you off, and then I'm trying to.
I'm agreeing with you. I'm agreeing with you. I'm agreeing with you. I'm agreeing with you.
But I had to fight to get to that end because you're like, no, I'm an authority.
Because I am. Why are you denying truth?
Crazy. Nick, calm down. Calm down.
You're trembling.
Settle, Nick. Settle.
It's interesting because this kind of comes back to the Stanley Kubrick, Christopher Nolan thing. It was like, would Christopher Nolan have made Interstellar if Stanley, if he hadn't seen 2001: A Space Odyssey, or if that film hadn't kind of like influenced the genre?
Right.
I don't know. It's interesting. Yeah, I do see that to a large degree. Like that Halloween kind of set a standard and set a new standard for horror. And then Wes Craven. I mean, Wes Craven was making horror films at the time that were like new and different, but they were kind of like these exploitation almost.
They were.
Like that Last House on the Left and Hills Have Eyes are very 70s exploitation,
Yes,
kind of like
correct,
dark,
yeah.
disturbing.
B
you know.
movie kind of a little
B
bit.
almost, yeah.
almost.
Kind of like riding that line of like
Yeah.
B movie.
But isn't it incredible how inspiration flows?
Yeah.
It's true, yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's the thing. They both were great.
They
This is
feed
why
off
I'm
of
in the
each other,
middle.
you know
I don't
what I
understand.
mean?
I love The Thing. I think out of all these films that we're talking about right now, The
so
Thing
good.
is just like on the top of my list.
The
out of all
cast
these.
is incredible in that film. Like
I
every
think-
one of those actors.
I think
are,
Wes Craven's only film that I go, yes, absolutely fantastic. Jesus Christ, is Scream.
well,
But John Carpenter, I feel like he has a lot more. Like if you even go outside of horror with like Big Trouble in Little China, and you have The Thing, and so on.
well, he also, I mean, Wes Craven did a film called Red Eye with
Yeah.
Rachel McAdams, which I thought was a solid
I wanted
thriller.
to
It's
see
not
that.
horror.
Yeah.
It's a thriller.
No, and I'm not saying he's terrible or anything like
Oh,
that, but I just
oh my
feel like
God.
John Carpenter has these other ones like Halloween. I just feel like those stand for me. They click with me more. Where I go, he has a better canon of film.
There is a film that I don't think you've seen that I mentioned earlier, off air or whatever, called The Serpent and the Rainbow.
No,
I
never
feel like a
heard of
lot of people haven't seen this. My uncle actually turned me on to this film years ago, and I was like, what the hell is Serpent and the Rainbow? He's like, dude, this movie's crazy. And so we watched it, and it's crazy as shit. It's actually loosely based on a true story, and it's about this guy, this anthropologist who goes to Haiti, hearing rumors about a drug used by black magic practitioners to turn people into zombies. Basically, they like control people. Like they give them this stuff or whatever, and it makes people like docile, and you can, and it will make it seem like they're dead, like their heart will stop, and then they'll come back to life or whatever
zombies.
later.
Yeah.
So, which is interesting. So it's actually it's loosely based off actual events that occurred. But then Hollywood kind of like alters the hell out of what actually occurred.
Here's the thing, though.
But it is a surreal goddamn movie. It's like
It is.
a voodoo, horror film, and it's Bill Pullman. Bill Pullman plays the
shit.
main actor in the film. He goes down, and then he's
What
trying
year?
to.
What year is that?
This film came out in 1988,
Okay, so
and it's
right
radar
after
film.
Spaceballs.
Yeah, and he goes down, and he's basically like down in Haiti, and he meets all these different people, and he gets kind of caught up in this like some voodoo war against like kind of like the good voodoo people, and then I guess it's like hoodoo. There's different versions of voodoo.
Voodoo and hoodoo. I didn't know that.
Yeah, there's actually like kind of like the black magic is used for good, and then it's used for bad.
Okay.
And so there's kind of like this guy is using it for bad, and it's surreal actually. There's a scene in that film where somebody gets given this like powder or whatever, and then it basically makes your heart stop, and you're immobile, but you're aware of everything that's happening to you. And so what this guy would do is he would take people, expose them to this chemical that was found somewhere in the rainforest that they like harvested and been using for years, these voodoo practitioners, and then we would put them in like a coffin and bury them alive. So they'll be aware, but they look like they're dead. So other people think they're dead. They check their pulse, they're dead, they're cold, whatever. But the person's still there, like experiencing everything. So they'll have a whole funeral. Like that the people in the
they're
village will
aware
have a
of-
funeral for this person
yeah.
and then bury them.
Jesus.
And then they'll get dug up later by this guy's like goons or whatever, and he'd be like, all right, now you're going to do what I say or I'm going to do that shit to you again. Like he used it as a control mechanism
Jesus.
to get people to do what he wanted. And I was like, this is some horrible shit. Like I
Jesus.
wouldn't want somebody to hit me with that. And I'm like going through my whole funeral, but I can see and hear everything, but
and
everyone
being
else
buried
thinks I'm
alive.
dead. And then they bury you.
Jesus.
Yeah. I was like, fuck that noise.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's actually a great thriller. It's a
Okay.
great movie. It has some great moments. And yeah, it was Wes Craven.
Because Wes Craven, he is great.
Yeah.
He's great.
You
So-
need to watch that. That might change your
Maybe.
change your tune.
Well, here's the thing.
I doubt it.
so
it's classic.
I doubt it.
this is very difficult.
Yeah.
This is actually going to be very difficult
Uh-oh.
for me to say Neil. Okay.
Oh.
I ran a couple of tests.
Uh-huh.
No, I'm not going back to what I said earlier. I was correct on that.
HIV
No,
test.
I was
Go ahead.
HIV test.
So there's been many polls done on John Carpenter. I don't know why I can say his name versus Wes Craven.
John
Really?
Carpenter versus Wes Craven.
Exactly. And IMDb also did one, and out of 933 votes, John Carpenter. Why can't I fucking say this guy?
I don't know.
Maybe
Carpenter.
I'm just having something against them.
Carpenter. Say it again. Say John Carpenter.
No,
Yeah, it's like-
I think I said Carpenter.
Like
And that's just-
like Nick is a carpenter.
I'm
He-
Brazilian,
yeah.
so I'm
That
allowed
kind-
to. fuck
Jesus Christ
English
was
words
Carpenter.
Yeah,
up,
Jesus
so.
was a carpenter. JC.
Out of 933 votes, John Carpenter received 692.
Ooh. I believe that.
People are confused.
No, you're confused. You know this,
I'm
right?
not confused. We just literally, you just went on and on about how Scream is like your favorite movie and like Wes Craven is like your Lord Savior. So
What?
I don't know.
I don't know what conversation you're having.
We just had that. All right.
No, here's the thing.
Audience,
I do
rewind
think Wes-
earlier and you'll hear
I
this
think
guy
Wes Craven
gushing.
is great. I love Nightmare on Elm Street, love New Nightmare, love Scream, love all the Screams except for the third one. John Carpenter.
Actually, the second one is my least favorite.
Yeah, I can understand that,
Yeah.
but the first one I thought was the best.
of
But
course.
John Carpenter, you can't deny these other movies he has with the Halloween, with The Thing.
It's weird, though,
with
'cause-
Big Trouble in Little China,
And I love all of those movies. But at the
Starman.
same-
I love Starman.
But he like there was a point where it was like his film just all kind of like went, ugh.
Yeah, but Wes
like
Craven
he gave
didn't-
up or something.
Yeah, but I understand. Wes Craven, I guess he didn't give up, but he's had his ups and downs.
I mean, Scream 4 is great.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, they are remaking Halloween again. Obviously, Rob Zombie took
the
a
two
Yeah,
he,
that's
yeah,
what
he,
I
he
said.
took a stab at it a couple years ago. He took a stab at it, and that didn't go over too well. But now Danny McBride and his producing partner are they apparently have some great concept for Halloween, and they brought it to John Carpenter, and he said, "Holy shit,
Yeah.
they get it." And he's really excited. He's gonna be a producer on the new one.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's Bloomhouse. I think is doing
Oh,
it.
he did Memoirs of an Invisible Man.
Yes, do you remember that movie?
I do remember that, yeah.
I saw that, and I think I saw
he
it in
flipping
theaters.
you, Neil?
Chevy Chase and Daryl Hannah. I didn't even mention that
Is
because
he
I didn't know if you guys had
flipping
seen
you,
it.
Neil?
All right. No, I mean, Scream is just my...
I just but
I
the thing
wouldn't
is,
even care about John
Scream
Carpenter
is-
if it wasn't for Scream. I'm sorry. Like, that's how much of an impact that film
I get
had
it.
on
I
me,
do
so-
understand that. I understand that. But all I'm saying is Wes Craven has great movies.
Yeah.
I just feel like John Carpenter has more.
He does.
He does. That's it. That's my whole point.
It's
is
true.
that-
And they both have, John Carpenter has Halloween. Wes Craven has Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yes.
It's, they both,
True.
that was the reason this whole versus thing came up.
Exactly.
They both have two of the most classic, well-known horror.
that have been copied.
They
a
are.
million
No,
times.
they're both great. And
How
that's
many films are there? Like
Of when
in each one?
Halloween has like 11. I know Friday the 13th has 11 movies.
And
Nightmare on Elm Street probably has
I want
like
them to
8
do-
or 9.
There was remember they did that Freddy versus Jason? But then at the end, like
That was
Ridiculous.
Jason
Okay, so-
or Michael
Ridiculous.
Myers, like there was like a Michael Myers thing or something like
Oh,
that
really?
at the end,
I
like
don't remember that.
and there was talks of them doing like a Freddy versus Michael
Yeah.
Myers.
They
but
should have
never
finished
that was
Halloween
the
with
dumbest
H2O,
movie.
by
So
the
first of
way.
all,
I
you
love
bring it-
that movie.
Let me tell you why I was
It's
so
so-
upset because the last 20, not even 20 minutes, that's when they meet.
That's true.
Yeah,
I was
true.
like,
There's
wait,
like a whole other
I know,
story that you
I
don't
know.
really
I'm
care
just
about.
Like, what the hell?
By the way,
Yeah.
Halloween, I think they should have ended it with H2O. They bring her back 20 years later. They brought Jamie Lee Curtis back. She chops off
Oh,
his
yeah,
fucking
yeah.
head, and you're like, oh, it's over. She
It's
chopped off
cash
his
cow,
head.
man.
And
People
then-
will see anything
they
with the
brought-
Halloween name
Then
on
they
it.
had, what was it, Resurrection, where they're like, oh, no, that wasn't really Michael Myers. Got his head chopped off. He'd switch clothes with a
They
janitor.
do that on all of them, though.
It's
What was the one with
ridiculous.
Jason? Jason in space?
Jason X.
Oh, my
Just
God.
Jason X.
X.
What the
So
hell?
that
movie's a
movie
comedy. That
is
movie is a
fucking
comedy.
awesome. I love
Yes.
that movie. That movie, he's literally okay. So Jason is trying to kill somebody at this is like
in a spaceship.
this is like his
It's
modus
frozen.
operandi. Like this guy is in the beginning of the movie chasing people, killing them. Right? Just, of course. Why isn't he?
Yeah, that's what he does.
Then this woman like spills over like some cryogenic liquid nitrogen shit, gets all over Jason, and then it's like 1,000 years later. And then like there's some like teenagers visiting Earth, which is now destroyed because
Right.
mankind is living on another planet in space. And they're on a field trip going to Earth, and they just happen to like be like archaeologist kids or whatever. They're like digging up a high school, and guess who's there? Jason Voorhees. And they bring this human specimen to their spaceship, and then he starts killing everybody.
He thaws. And then he's just like,
How
oh.
is that not the greatest
people-
story you've
Dude,
ever
that
heard of
scene-
in your entire
That
life?
scene at the end where he's flying through space towards the spaceship with his machete out.
It's so good.
How is he not being ripped apart or
he
exploding
just
in
gets
space?
more and more beefcake as every film goes on. Like he's literally the size of like the Incredible
lives-
Hulk in that movie.
He lives on a steady diet of steroids. That's it. That's all
he
he
has
So
to
this-
be eating
he
the
never
people he's
eats.
killing.
He
Like,
There's
I
a
don't-
whole podcast, which was Wes Craven versus John Carpenter. And the winner is
derailed.
Jason because he
Yes.
lasted into the
Jason
future.
Voorhees.
That's true.
Yeah.
Jason Voorhees.
John
Jason
Carpenter,
Voorhees.
Wes Craven will be long gone. Jason Voorhees.
That's
will
why we
still be-
started. We're coming full circle.
Okay, so the thing is, you agree that John Carpenter has a larger number of great films than Wes Craven, but Wes Craven has equally impressive films in the ones that he has.
What kind of...
John Carpenter. It's a similar thing
Makes
to like.
sense. Think
It's
about
hard.
it. Yeah.
It's hard. So John Carpenter has films that are like not horror,
Yes.
and that are great.
Yes.
And Wes Craven never really spent much time. He didn't really get
He
into
was
that much. He
yeah.
kind of stayed in his like genre.
Wheelhouse, yeah.
which is fine because he's made a lot of fantastic films. There were a couple little films here and there that were kind of like off the beaten path for him, but I like that John Carpenter made films like Starman or like Memoirs of the Invisible Man.
Right. I like that they both were they wrote and directed their films. I like that. I mean, they didn't write every one of the films, but I like the fact that Wes Craven also was a writer.
Yeah.
And John Carpenter was also a writer.
Really, it's just those two, to be honest with you, now that I'm looking at it. Like, I mean, Memoirs of an Invisible Man and Big Trouble in Little China is kind of like, is not really a horror movie.
No, not at all.
Starman, but everything else is like more
Christine,
or less. I mean, Escape from New York has like horror elements.
Escape from LA.
Did we talk about
Escape
the
from
ward?
New York is not, and Assault on Precinct 13.
It was good. Did you see it?
Yeah, no, I 100% saw it, and
Yeah.
I'm just reading some articles that people are saying John Carpenter's The Ward was actually one of his best films.
Yeah,
It's
I
a really
one.
solid film.
Right, but
I was surprised. I watched it and I was like, it like hooked me.
Right.
Like what's happening in a film like definitely hooked me in. And Amber Heard gives a great performance as the main.
But like Assault on Precinct 13, that wasn't
there you go.
horror.
You're right.
Escape from New York wasn't horror. It was more like kind of a post-apocalyptic.
It's kind of just a handful, though. I don't know. I'm still gonna stick with Wes Craven.
You're gonna stick with Wes Craven?
Fuck
gonna
it.
stick with Wes
I'm sticking
I mean,
with John Carpenter.
When you think that name, Wes Craven, you
think
horror. And when
True.
you think John Carpenter, you don't
think
necessarily.
genius. That's the difference. You think genius when you think of John Carpenter. You think horror when you think of Wes Craven. But John Carpenter feels like he's on a different level. Wes Craven
know.
feels like he has more missteps.
Here's
Really?
the thing.
You think so? Did you look at his collection of films?
I don't know. Scream 3 just put a bad taste in my mouth.
This fucking guy. That one movie?
No. I just feel like Wes Craven was incredible.
Dude.
And I do love Scream, but that's the one thing. If he didn't have Scream, I don't think I would be having this conversation.
Dude.
For me, Scream, I just felt like I don't know. For some reason, that movie had a big impact on me and my life.
It took you to John Carpenter.
It made me a murderer.
I'm sorry. Can you just repeat that?
I'm
please?
sorry. I'll be editing this.
Let me
out
just
later.
drop. Let me just drop just a couple. Last House on the Left, written and directed by Wes Craven. Hills Have Eyes, written and directed by Wes Craven. He did Swamp Thing, 1982.
I did love that movie.
There you go. Swamp Thing. That was a great movie.
Aren't they? No, they're not. I have to verify if they're. I think they're.
I don't think he wrote that
There
one.
were talks about bringing back the.
Oh yeah,
Thing.
they've been talking about that for a while.
He did write it.
Yeah, he wrote and directed that.
Yeah, he wrote and directed
I know.
that.
Yeah.
Hills Have Eyes Part 2.
Yes.
Nightmare on Elm Street.
Yeah.
And then Serpent in the Rainbow, which I talked about.
Yeah.
This Shocker, which actually I've never seen.
Yeah,
but
I saw that
I've
a
seen
long
the poster
time
for
ago.
it
Yeah.
a million times, but I've never actually watched it from beginning to end.
Yeah, I don't remember. it very
People
much.
Under the Stairs.
Oh, he
was
did that?
another great film.
He wrote that. He wrote that.
Or
Or just
he
directed
did.
it?
He wrote and directed it.
Wow.
Yeah.
But
the
does
New
he-
Nightmare, Vampire in Brooklyn.
Yeah, okay, let's
with
talk
Eddie
about
Murphy.
He's got Vampire in Brooklyn. I did like that
Eddie
movie.
Murphy's
It's-
your boy.
It's he is my boy, and Kadeem Hardison's in that. That's a ridiculous movie. And I was gonna say, hey, but does he have a Big Trouble in Little China? Vampire in Brooklyn is his Big Trouble in
It
Little China.
is. It is. It's got
Yeah.
John Witherspoon.
It's so
It's
weird.
got so many
It's
many people
weird.
in it.
It's such a weird movie.
It is a weird
Eddie
movie.
Murphy's hair is a nightmare. In that
Kadeem
movie.
Hardison.
I know Kadeem Hardison.
He played so many characters in that film too.
Oh,
Eddie
Angela
Murphy.
Bassett.
No,
God,
did he?
she's
In
a
Vampire in
lo-
Brooklyn?
Yeah, he played the preacher.
What the hell? Really? Oh, I think you're right. Yeah.
He played the preacher, and he played. I think
Okay.
he played like one.
It's
or
an
two
odd
other-
movie because it's like you're expecting a comedy, but it has very dark elements.
It's
to
got
it.
and that's kind of
It was great
It's
done.
different.
It
Yeah.
was greatly done. So.
Yeah, Scream 2, Scream 3. He did. I've never seen this movie, but he did a movie called Music of the Heart, starring Meryl Streep. Wes Craven directed this.
Oh,
I
wow.
kind of want to watch it now just to see.
I guess that was
what
him
the hell.
getting out of the horror genre.
Nominated for 2 Oscars.
Well, that's because Meryl Streep was in it.
All right, I don't
Not
think. I
because
don't
Wes
think.
Craven. Not because Wes Craven
Was that
directed
correct
it.
with the acclaims?
They nominated her for an
No,
Oscar
this
for
is Wes
Into the
Craven.
Woods.
Yeah,
Listen,
Wes
Was that
Craven.
correct
Neil.
with the acclaims?
Dude, this movie.
Neil. They literally gave Meryl Streep or nominated her for an Oscar for Into the Woods. It's got nothing to do with who directed
I
it.
think it's just
Yeah.
her name actually.
It's just like you put Meryl Streep
They're
on it,
obsessed.
they're like,
The
all right,
Oscar, the Academy is obsessed with
Meryl
Meryl
Streep.
Streep.
Yeah,
Let's
she is
just
good. She's
say.
great.
All right, so
Okay.
I think I'm gonna end this by saying that you guys are teeter-tottering.
No.
I'm Teeter. He's
Wes
Totter.
Craven. We got.
I didn't say shit.
We got Oscar nominations for a film we didn't even see.
Okay,
Hold on, let me
but-
just say, Red Eye, Cursed, My Soul to Take, and Scream 4. I'm just saying he's got like a
They all
list,
have
a
reputable lists.
solid.
You know,
film.
I think they. I mean, the great thing about
Up
them is
until
that they,
the end.
You know, like Nick always says, they didn't phone it in. They actually wrote. They were in so many
know.
parts of their films. That's what made it incredible.
Yeah.
So I think.
Well, here's the thing.
I'm just
John
gonna
Carpenter was nominated for a Saturn.
Now,
a
are you
Saturn
going to
Award.
do your list now? What
No,
the
John
fuck?
Carpenter was nominated for a Saturn Award
Oh.
for They Live for the music. Okay, go ahead.
Great.
Thank you.
That's good.
Anybody else?
Is that an Oscar?
Anybody want to phone
an
in
Oscar?
and give their list? I don't know.
We're good.
Listener.
We're good. All right.
But seriously, though, Wes Craven won. I mean, it's pretty obvious.
You know, so you don't like John Carpenter? Okay,
I love
got it.
John Carpenter.
Why do you love him?
I want to make a film with John Carpenter.
Good. There you go. All right.
I don't
End of
even
story.
want to know what type of film you want to make.
But we still, I love Wes Craven. I love John Carpenter.
They're both
I
amazing.
think he edges him out. John Carpenter edges out Wes Craven a little bit, but I do love both of them. And rest in peace, Wes Craven. Yeah.
I love these verses, but what I love most about them is in the end is it makes it complicated. Like you
It's hard.
really don't know.
It's hard.
It's- I mean,
Sometimes
Wes
it's easy.
Yeah.
Wes Craven won, but I mean, yeah, no, I could see what you're saying.
Yeah, and I.
Kill
what do you have to
yourself,
say? What do you?
Kill
Yeah,
yourself.
see, I was ahead of this. I was like, Nick, what do you have to say to that?
I'm just trolling.
So-
They're both great.
But all right, so Wes Craven versus John Carpenter. Let us know what you think on social media. Let us know what you think on our website.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just love the movie The Thing, so I'm just keep it on that. I don't know who won. They both have incredible
Read
films.
between the lines.
And
Everyone should
and
watch
so-
all of these directors.
Everyone
films.
should watch
They're
all
all
these
really
films.
good. Serpent the
and
Rainbow,
then
especially.
go on
And
to
The
our
Thing.
social media
And The Thing.
and say, Neil, you're right, or Nick, you're right, or say, I don't know, I'm so
I'm
confused
torn.
right now.
I'm torn.
Yeah.
We'll put a poll up.
Yeah, or just simply say, I don't know. Yeah, exactly. I don't know how you would type that in, but I'm pretty sure that we can figure out these days, or just input a sound bite like Neil's doing right now. But thank you for coming to Get to the Podcast. Let's get to the podcast with the number 2 in this horror episode where Neil and Nick. I don't know why I'm getting sexy voice.
I don't know. I'm flustered. Jeez. Diego, buy me
hot
dinner
here.
first.
Hello.
Good.
Okay,
Hot
go.
No, but thank you guys for joining us at Get to the Podcast. That's Get to the Podcast with the number 2. Check us out on our social media. Check us out on our website.
Yep.
Check us out. What do you mean just yep? Let them know where
Jesus.
Neil. Let Nick. I don't even know who I'm talking to. In our social media. Where's the social media, Nick?
Yeah, we got it on Twitter. We got it on Facebook. It's on Instagram. We're at Get to the Podcast. GET2THE podcast. That's it.
Boom.
Yeah, we're on all 3 of those. We post regularly. You get a lot of times we're just letting you know that the episode's out there with a link to it, so you stay up on it and you know what we're about every week. We're weekly podcasts. Remember that.
Start an argument, guys. I want you guys to start an argument.
I'll take on any and all challengers.
Ooh.
Come at me, bro.
Come at me. Come at me.
Come
bro.
at me, sis.
There
Come
you
at
go.
me, sis and bro.
Thank you guys for joining us. I'm Diego D'Souza.
I'm Nick Gambino.
And I'm Neil Carson.
Why won't this door open?
Michael Myers.
He literally, nobody knows what he sounds like.
Do you want to die, Casey?
You're still here? It's over. Go home. Go.